Okay. That's 3 o'clock. Hi, everybody. And for the people who came here within the last 5 minutes, one of our panelists is going to be late. And when I say hi, Don, everyone in the room is going to get up and say, what? It's about time, Don. And he's in the Westin, in the Embassy Suites, picking up his tickets, getting lost, trying to find the room right now. But I'm Dan Walks, and I want to thank you for coming out today. We have Sarah Marentz and Lisa Biggs, and Don Capone will get here eventually. And you're here because of the name of the seminar is Voiceover, I Want In. So we're going to share with you how we got into voiceover and give you as much information as we can squeeze into 1 hour in terms of what you have to do to become a working voice actor, get your first gig, and have it growing from there. So I want to start by having the panelists who have made it so far introduce themselves, and we'll start with Sarah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Marentz, and I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And
hey.
Yeah, woo, go Steelers.
Go Steelers!
Yes, go Steelers.
Go Eagles!
And I lived in Nashville for 7 years after high school, pursuing music, and I have a musical theater singing background. I moved to Orlando about 3 years ago, and I got into voiceover kind of as a jingle singer, actually, for a restaurant chain back in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Ohio called Eaton Park. And, woo, Eaton Park's my cookies. And so I was their jingle singer, and one day when I was in the studio, they asked me to read some voiceovers for radio, and it kind of grew from there, and I fell in love with the process. And so when I got to Orlando about 3 years ago, I was like, I kind of want to take a stab at doing this full time. And about a year and a half ago, I took a seminar with Dan called Real World Voiceover Seminar, which is fantastic, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that more a little later. And I learned a heck of a lot, and I was like, okay, I want to do this, and started doing it full time with the home studio and kind of everything we'll talk about throughout the seminar. But that's a little bit about me, and I'm going to throw it to Lisa.
Before you do, though, I'll play a little sample, a little 30-second sample of Sarah's work. For our listening pleasure.
Getting a great night's sleep is easy with Chime by Ashley. People from over 50,000 companies, including Apple, Bank of America, Uber, Best Buy, Home Depot, and many more, use Earnin. You can too. Eaton Park is bringing great things together with new salad bar dinner deal. We hope you enjoyed this performance of Star Wars, a galaxy far, far away. Now please gather up your lightsabers, blasters, and any other belongings, and enjoy the rest of your adventure here at Disney's Hollywood Studios.
There you go, Sarah. And Lisa Biggs.
Hi, my name is Lisa Biggs. I have been doing voiceover. Actually, I just had my 18th anniversary of the first time I ever booked a voiceover job, I think.
Woo!
18. Duet. Oh, hello. I love my job. I work every day, which is a fortunate thing for our industry, which is primarily a lot of freelance stuff. You know, we all have a ton of agents, but a lot of it is just doing your thing, doing your hustle, pulling it all together. Clearly, I do stuff for children's media and entertainment, from television promos for Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Ion Television, which is right over here in Clearwater. I do animation. I'm on a couple of TV shows, mostly overseas. I have a show on right now, Becca's Munch and Nick Jr. I'm directing a TV show for Cartoon Network called Badanamu, which is really cool, and I play a bunch of characters in that too. And yeah, my job is fun. You know, I feel really blessed, and everything I do makes people happy. You know, from kind of these guys over here, which will probably talk throughout our entire presentation, and for that I apologize. This is one of my newest toys. It just came out a couple days ago from Hasbro, a For Real Friend. I see some unicorns in here. Do any of you have Star Lily, my magical unicorn? She's a For Real Friend? No, probably not. They're usually for littler people. I voiced nearly 24 of this line from Hasbro. But yeah, I love this industry. I love the people in the industry. I love the work. And hope that I can do it for another 18 years. So yeah.
And we're pretty blessed to have Lisa come down here with us today. And she drove down from North Carolina. Here's a sample of her work. You recognize the voice.
Fairies and wizards, behold the magical power of fairy wands. Girl power! With 19 locations, you get access to tons of camps, sports, and 28 pools and water parks for all your summer fun. Visit one of our locations or ymcacharlotte.org.
Looking for some great deals on all your favorite Halloween candy?
Coming now to Old Creeks for frightfully good savings on all Halloween candy.
That was great. Our next guest is not here, but I'm going to play his demo. The guy's awesome. He's been on ESPN, NBC, Saturday Night Live, all kinds of programs. And this is what Don Capone sounds like. But remember, when he comes in, we're going to say, that's not him. Thought it was going to be him. This is Don Capone. So he'll introduce himself when he gets here, but listen to him. It's awesome.
Mike Trout wouldn't use an outdated workout machine to be all-star Mike Trout. So why would he choose an outdated sports drink?
I wouldn't.
He wouldn't. This is Body Armor. More natural, more electrolytes, better sports drink. Thanks, Gatorade. We'll take it from here. Dragons. The stuff of fantasy novels and fairy tales. But these killers are alive and well, and more dangerous than ever. Transformers, the ride. Write it now.
Right. I was Don. Don is the guy. I'm Dan Watson. Don is the guy who got me into the business. He used to design websites. He was designing a website for a company that I own. That's not Don either. And we got to talk. We were both from a radio background, and he told me he does voiceover. This was 2010. I said, well, okay, I'll try that. Although my voice usually gets tired in the afternoon, so I don't know if I can do it full time, but I did it as a hobby. And it got to the point where I record about 150 projects a year. Lisa records 12 to 1,500 projects a year. She does 5 to 7 a day. Sarah's newer, but she's really knocking it dead with Disney as some major national furniture stores and is killing it. But I got it as a hobby, and I started to get a couple gigs after trying and failing and trying again. And eventually in the business, if you get some clients, some will come back to you. So, oh, hi Don.
Apologize.
What a spontaneous outburst. How did you all do that at the same time?
I walked 1,000,000 miles in that stupid jacket and hat in the hot sun.
Oh, man.
But anyway,
Well, you should drink some body armor. Don, I'm just finishing up my intro, then we're going to do yours. I played your demo, they hated it. No one applauded. They almost laughed, but I got them to stay. So the bottom line is I do this and I teach it, as Sarah was mentioning. And one of the things I love about voiceover is you get to do projects because you work out of a home studio, which we will discuss, and you have the internet, which we will discuss. You can have clients all over the world. I have clients in China. I did a gig on Skype with a guy in Switzerland yesterday. Anywhere from China to Guam to Buffalo, New York, my voice is being heard in all kinds of different ways. So I'll play a quick sample of my stuff, and then we'll have Don tell you how we got into voiceover and why he convinced me to do it, which was very cool.
You are a freak of nature. Yep, you. I'm gonna tell you a story. Capital One Bank knows how exciting Texas Rangers baseball is. There are some numbers you never forget. Your cat says he doesn't listen to jazz. I saw the fire. I saw wind and water. It's like hand-to-hand combat, with opposing fighter pilots flying so close they can see each other's eyes. TwinSpires.com is the official betting partner of the Kentucky Derby. Watch full season 1 on Amazon now.
When I said now, he's imitating him. Thank you very much. So what we're going to do here, and the room is small enough that if you have a question, just raise your hand and one of us will attempt to give you an answer. And there are 4 different people who came up into voiceover 4 different ways. And so we're going to have different viewpoints of what's good and bad. And that's cool, because we're all right. Because whatever we did is working out for us. So, Don, tell people why and how you got into voiceover and how you got to be so good.
Is this on? Well, I was in radio for years, and of course, radio took a big dump for everybody in it. So I had to reinvent myself, and I started doing voiceover, getting into voiceover, and it really turned out good for me. Thank God, thank you, God. But it is a very tricky business if you're wanting to get into this. It's a lot of just basically the whole thing in a nutshell, audition, period. That's it, audition. And that's how you get gigs. You just keep auditioning. And remember, a lot of other people are auditioning too, so you have to find your niche, your edge. Meaning, I just walked 1,000,000 miles, so I'm still out of breath here. Meaning, everything that you could possibly do that'll enhance your sound, your delivery, the essence of what you are, is you've got to tweak it, and you've got to, because there's a bunch of other people too trying to do this, so you want to make sure your audio is up to par, because that's basically your calling card. If your audio sounds like garbage, I don't care how good a voice you got, they're going to go, what is this guy? So you want to have good audio. You also want to know how to read. And then, but then again, who's a freaking mind reader? Because I could do an audition and somebody they love it, but you might put it up against 10 people and get their opinions. You suck, you're this, you have to have thick skin to be in this game. So it all comes down to, yes, how good you are, how you can interpretate a script, but you're still not a mind reader. They do give you some basic direction, but it could just change. Well, we went with a girl instead, right? Or whatever, right? So it could all, you're too deep, or you're too this, you're too that, or going with somebody else.
I'm getting all your stuff.
There you go. So the whole thing is, it's all up for just whatever it is, whatever they feel, whoever's going to be hiring you. And you can't take it like, oh God, I stink, or this. You just got to do your audition and forget about it and go on to the next. Do that. Forget about it. Go on to the next one. And then, like, let's say at the end of the week, you got 30 little auditions floating around. You might not get none. You might not land anything, but forget about it. Keep going. Keep auditioning. And that's the key to success in this business. With, some basic training on getting your pipes, finding your niche. Don't ever show people what you can't do. Only show people what you can do. So if you can't do this, don't even attempt it, because you look like stupid. So, like I look right now up here. But so basically, that's about it. So I started doing them and not getting gigs, and then just kept it up, and then I started landing gigs. And then it's all good.
So you brought up good audio. So we'll start with the subject and we'll throw it out to anyone in the panel. These days, you do most of your work in a home studio. You get to work out of your home. You get up in the morning, you don't have to look good, you don't have to feel good, you just have to sound good. So who wants to talk about how do you build a studio in your home, and what equipment do you need? And I say, Sarah or Lisa, maybe you have something?
So with my home studio, what I did personally, and everybody's is different. I would say I've seen so many pictures of home studios, and no two are alike. Personally for me, I had a spare bedroom in my house, and so I decided to turn that into my studio. And so I have my desk with my Mac where I work with Audition, Adobe Audition for editing. And I had one window, which obviously wasn't good. I didn't want to hear the sound and, sound bouncing. So I wanted to do some like soundproofing stuff. So I had some sound quilts that I had purchased, and I totally blocked that out. And I also did some sound paneling above the computer, so right above where I would be speaking on that. And I just did some soundproofing in the room. And so I have my speaker set up, and I think I've sent you pictures of the studio as well, of the latest setup, just to kind of get his okay on everything, because I learned so much from Dan. Because I'm newer in this voiceover world. I haven't been doing it for 18 years, but I'm probably 5 years into this, so I kind of still ask a lot of questions along the way. But that's kind of what I did with my home studio, and it is a learning process the whole way. So you set it up, and you record something, you're like, oh, this doesn't sound right, what can I adjust, this, that, the other thing. And so the first time you set up your home studio, it's probably not gonna be 100% right, so there will be some tweaks along the way. But one thing I would say, not just with the home studio, but with everything, is ask questions, get people's opinions, look at some other home studios. I've seen them in people's closets. I mean, they kind of sound like the whole closet, and it works. It works for them.
Because you don't want the echoes and the reflections of the room when you're recording. That just shows you that you're amateur and you're not going to get the gig.
Lisa, what do you want?
Not going to get it.
Does it come to me? Let's see. I got started with voiceover before people had home studios. And so it was a little bit of a learning curve for me when everything moved back home. But I would say I agree, it's awesome, right? Because I don't have to leave my house, which some days I probably should. Some days I'll go out or I'll get on like a session with a client, and I'll realize, oh, I haven't looked in a mirror today. But my studio is in the closet in a spare bedroom in my house. I have done floor to ceiling soundproofing foam. There are brands like RLX, which is about $25 a square foot. I got 2-inch soundproofing foam off of Amazon. It's about $50 for a pack of 12, and that's more than enough. And most of my sessions are live directed. So most of my stuff is with big studios, big ad agencies, and they can hear inside of my room, inside of my closet. And so no one's had any issues with it yet. And I decided, to cut costs with that. So I bought the panels, the soundproofing foam tiles off of Amazon. I use a Neumann microphone, which is a little pricey. However, you don't have to necessarily spend $1,300, $1,500 on a microphone. There are comparable microphones for a lot cheaper. And so my microphone goes into my audio interface, goes into my computer, and I do my thing. For me, an important component to my business and to my studio many years ago was getting ISDN, which is a technology that connects your studio to studio. I now use things like Source Connect and IPTTL, and those are my preferred session dynamics. But yeah, I use the closet. The closet does not share a room or share a wall with any plumbing, which is important. And the most important part of my studio is the Christmas lights that I put up, because if you're going to be in a space all day, every day, and if you're doing tons of auditions or you're booking tons of work, you should really like where you're going to be. It should appeal to you, because I would imagine if you're here because you like acting, because you want to do voiceover, you're an artist, you're creative, and there's a visual element that goes to that as well, just liking where you're at, because if you're really going to pursue this, you're going to spend a ton of time in there. And so, yeah, love my studio. It sounds great, apparently, because no one's fired me yet. But I did test it out with, other folks who have finer tuned ears than I do. And yeah, that's what I do with Dane.
I'm going to define a couple terms. So it's interesting, when I asked the question of the panel, what gear do you need? They all talked about the room. And the way I feel is the room is the most important piece of gear. And Don mentioned one of the big enemies. There are two big enemies to the sound being good in your room. One is reflection or echo. You hear the echo in this room, you couldn't record in here unless you're really close to the mic and you're speaking quietly. So, reflection, reverberation, echo, that's a problem. And if you have hardwood floors, for example, you probably need to put an area rug down. Lisa was talking about Auralex. It's a jagged foam. It doesn't soundproof, but what it does is absorbs and reflects the sound to get rid of the echo. And the other big enemy is noise. So if you go to a room where you think it's quiet and you shut your eyes, sometimes I say shut your ears, but that's, anyway, you shut your eyes and you listen, you might notice that you can hear the refrigerator humming in the other room or the air coming out of a vent on the ceiling. So reflection and noise are the two big enemies. Sarah mentioned she records an Adobe Audition. I want to tell you what that is. When you speak into a mic and it's hooked up into your computer, well, you have to have recording software, and that's what that is. There's free recording software called Audacity. Doesn't cost anything. Adobe Audition is wonderful. It's $20 a month if you buy it alone. So what happens is when you speak, you can see your sound waves. And then what you can do is edit them. So if you do 3 versions of a commercial, let's say, and you like the first 10 seconds of this version, and you like the middle 10 seconds of this version, and the last 10 seconds of this version, you can cut and paste them just like you do in a Word document. So when Sarah mentioned Adobe Audition, it's a DAW, a digital audio workstation. Now, we talked about the room, and Lisa, you mentioned a mic. What kind of mic do you use, Don?
I use a shotgun mic. It's not this big, it's not that round, long. And I also have a Manley tube mic that I use. But yeah, that's basically it. And I have a tube compressor, an amp, and then I also have a solid state amp, which is my go-to amp, basically.
What do you have, Sarah?
Shotgun mic.
Shotgun mic.
But I
So-
started out with what you use, the blue baby bottle mic.
Yeah.
Those are good, yeah.
So it's a Sennheiser, right?
Yep.
416?
Yep.
So Don and I say are all on Sennheiser 416 shotgun mic. What do you use, Lisa? What's your
Neumann,
U87?
yeah. Oh, no, guy. I want one for Christmas. I like $4,000. I want one. I used one yesterday.
I got
My
one for
sex
sale if you like.
Yeah, he does.
Really? I want the matte black.
I sold mine.
Matte black.
No,
I
it's
used
not
one
matte
yesterday.
You may not like the, you like the U87?
Oh, I love the way I sound in here.
Wow, I hate, see, different people sound, I sold my U87. It's like a very expensive mic. But I'm going to recommend one mic you can look at if you want to really get started, because all the gear Don was talking about, compressor, amplifier, interface,
This
all these
is
different
after
things.
you start getting gigs.
Yeah, the microphone I'm going to recommend it's all in one, and you just plug it right into your computer, good to go. It's called the Yeti Pro, and it costs, right now, last week was on sale on Amazon and everywhere for $189, $189. So you don't need to spend, I started with an inexpensive mic, and this son of a gun over here, Don, kept telling me to buy stuff. And I bought, and I bought, and I bought, so I have a studio full of stuff. And finally, when he bought his Manley mic he mentioned, no, actually he bought yours before me.
I
And you got
actually
rid of it,
had a
and I
Manley mic
that's
before
right,
you, yeah.
you son, yeah.
I
But anyway,
should-
so it sounds like a daunting thing to build a studio, but really you need a microphone, you need a computer. Modern computers are all strong enough and fast enough to handle single track mono audio, it's easy. And you need maybe a pair of headphones, and you don't have to spend the money that Beats or a Bose headphones cost. A good set of headphones is under $100. And a Sony MDR 7506, that's a lot of numbers. But you can get a good set of headphones for under $100. And instead of buying very expensive Auralex, you can use moving blankets to cover the room and to try to soften up the sound. And really, you're getting into a business if you choose to move forward, but you're only spending maybe $550 for everything you need to get started.
Probably a little bit more than that, but your bottom line, your question would be, hey, what is the cheapest I can get? So you get yourself a Yeti mic for, what are they, $180. I stress to have some reference speakers so you could know Because if you use regular speakers that are colored, where it sounds more bassy and, stuff that you buy in the counter at Best Buy, they're really not reference speakers. You need to have a where you're at, so you know where you're recording. So you hear as a reference when you give your audition in that it's sounding good. So you do need some reference speakers. But like he said, $500 to $800, I would say, that's for equipment, maybe a little less than the $800. But you also now, okay, so you got the equipment. You're ready to rock and roll. Now what? How do you get the auditions? You don't have an agent. Right? How do you get these auditions, opportunities? A couple ways. The biggest way, of course, is to join like Voice 123 or Voices. I recommend Voice123.com, and it's going to cost you $400 for the whole year. Wow. The whole year. Basically, now you're in business. And every day you wake up and you log into Voice 123, and all of a sudden you got 20, 30, 40 auditions that you can audition for, anywhere between $100 and $5,000 or even higher. And that's your business. Now you're in business. Now you can audition and compete against all the other people who are competing. And they're only going to take a certain amount for different projects. Let's say they have 20 or 50 they're taking, or 60 for that. So the first 60 to get in, you're in the running. Let's hope that the 59 other people weren't good, but you got it, you could land it. So that's basically, in a nutshell, how to get going to start making money. Because the bottom line is you want to make money in doing this. This doesn't want to be a hobby. You want to do this and quit your day job and do this for a living. That's why you're here. How do I come and get this going as my main source of income? So lots of little steps, knowing how to read, the right equipment, then getting auditions pushed to you. And these aren't just little auditions. These are big companies that use Voice 123. Big companies, and you name the company, they use them. NBC, CBS, what do you call, all the big Hollywood studios, everybody uses them. I've gotten gigs on 123 from big companies. Disney, I got stuff from Disney that they use 123. The thing is, that's the easy route, and you just got to get to where you want to be, man. Get your voice right, get your equipment right, and start auditioning, and that's that.
Sarah, you just got a gig on 123, didn't you?
Yes, Voices 123 has been an incredible resource for, finding the auditions and booking the gigs. There was a new website that was just launched called voplanet.com that launched, I think, 2 months ago.
Relaunched, yeah.
Yeah, relaunched, and they've been great as well. There's some really, really big jobs and big names on there. And also, for me personally, I just joined LinkedIn kind of on a whim, and the voiceover community on LinkedIn has been incredible. Like I kind of was like, oh yeah, I kind of liked the game on LinkedIn, but I booked jobs on there. I just recently booked a voiceover job for an app called Earnin, and it's turned into a continuous job. I've done a couple of jobs for them, but I've talked to so many people in the voiceover community and made so many connections just on LinkedIn. I would have never thought about it because it's not really for voiceover, but I would recommend joining LinkedIn for it too.
So Voiceover Planet, I'm going to make a guess. You get about one audition a day.
Yeah, maybe one audition a day. They're bigger jobs, but yeah, maybe one a day.
Right, I know
I
this
recommend Voiceover Planet for that.
other people
Yeah.
I know are on it. So,
Yeah, a lot.
Voice
Yeah, Voiceover
123.com.
123 is, if you're going to join just one, definitely Voiceover 123. I don't know anything about Voices.com, but Voiceover 123, 100% hands down.
I know about Voices.com. They're the most popular voiceover casting site in the world, but I'm going to be a little editorial about it. Don't like them.
Yeah, I don't know.
They charge a commission, they take too much of the deal. There's a lot of things I can tell you, you can look them up on the internet. But Voice 123 is righteous, Voiceover Planet's righteous, but you only get one a day. Voice123.com, you get 10 or more a day. And you'll get more auditions that you're going to want to audition. And I want to expand on one thing, and I want to throw it over to Lisa, who took a completely different route to get in the business. I also went on Voice123 and Voices.com to start my career, and now I use them sometimes. But Don, You were talking about now I lost my train. You were talking about auditioning,
Oh, good.
and you were saying, I forgot. I had a question for you, I forgot. So I'll round back to you.
Yeah.
Afterwards. Lisa, you don't use any of these websites.
No, I've been around since before they existed though.
Mm.
Like, not that I'm 37 and 3/4, but
How old are you?
37 and 3/4.
Oh, only for you, okay.
Thank you.
Almost 60 years old, so.
So I've never done online casting. I don't know anything about really online casting, but I do know a lot about being passionate about what you want to do to make a living and make that happen. And so I would say, okay, just show of hands. Who in here is like, yo, voiceover? That could be a thing for me. Show of hands. Yeah. And is it primarily like animation or commercial? Like, I would say, given the nature of this event this weekend, a lot of it is character driven, right? Animation, cartoons, which is totally makes sense. There's a ton of street cred, etc., that goes along with that. There's also a lot of other types of voiceover narration, TV, drama, radio imaging. And if you have the passion to do voiceover, there will be opportunities for you to work, I feel like, across the board. But like I said, I've never done the online casting thing. I used to tell people, like, oh, I don't really audition. And I used to think, or used to say, just jokingly, I was like, oh, it's because I'm Lisa Biggs. I don't need to audition. It's because I have an incredibly fragile, tiny little ego. And I don't think I can handle the rejection of like 30 auditions and I don't know how many bookings out of that. So I built my voiceover business and I work with all the big everybody. And they're wonderful people to work with. Like I said, I'm directing for Cartoon Network. I do TV promos, Nickelodeon, I do animation.
You also teach.
I do.
What do you teach?
More animation and character work than business. I'm very much passionate about taking something that you love and making money out of it. Specifically voiceover. I don't know anything else, that's all I've ever done.
How do people
So-
find you if they want to?
Just on my website, lisabiggs.com. But what I really want to talk about though is just like if you have a passion, you know, if you, what do they say? If you work hard and you're kind to people, you are nice to people, like good things will happen. And I know that sounds vague, and probably like I read it on a coffee mug or something. But I do believe that. I believe if you have a vision and a passion, if you're specific about what you want, I know a lot of people are like, I want to be in a pig farmer. Well, that's cool, but like they usually hire the celebrities first. That being said, there's tons of, there's tons of work out there. You know, I've had 3 TV spots yesterday and some narration, and my voice is weird. If someone with this voice can book work multiple times every day, I'm in a tiny little box of this industry. But if you're really specific about what you want, you know, if you market your voice with precision, you definitely want to work with, coach with people that you respect and want to follow a similar career path. So you gotta find those people. But the one thing I can tell you about voiceover, the industry as a body of people, it's some of the most generous, resourceful, wonderful people. It's not cutthroat like that dumb movie In a World made it out to be. It's so not like that. Oh my God. And if you find the people that are doing the things that you want to do, connect, in some capacity, and then, from what you kind of absorb from that, do your own thing. It's not like you're going through this thing just trying to figure it out and no one's helping you. Like voiceover is an incredibly wonderful industry of people that love to help. There's a lot of great resources, a lot of them are free. I know one of our friends, Gabby Mystico, has this great 12-step getting into voiceover thing on her website that is great and it's free. There's a lot of great information out there that you don't necessarily have to pay for. And I would start there. But yeah, if you have something that you really want to do or a bunch of voices, you do want to have versatility. If you want to do animation, you want to be able to do multiple things. I would say at least 40% of my income is this guy. He's a boy, right? People love this dude. So you want to have a lot of versatility. You want to have a lot of different voices, range, and you also want to be open to multiple genres of voiceover. I never thought I would do TV promo, and I have at least probably 4 national networks and stuff international that I didn't know how to do that kind of crap. You know? So develop your repertoire, you know, work on having more than just, you know, a couple of voices that you do if you want to do character stuff. Or if you're a one-trick pony, be the best freaking one-trick pony that there is. You know, own it. You know, especially in the South, not so much in Florida. There's a lot of Southern people. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and people are like, well, just let I thought mine has to be over ways on my good. And if you can't eliminate your accents or whatever, then don't. Just find everybody on the planet that wants to hire somebody who sounds like this and dominate. I mean, it's easier said than done, but if you are committed to your success, you know, and passionate about what you do, especially now as opposed to 20 years ago, you can create a pretty clear path for yourself from wherever you are now to wherever you want to go, and way quicker than I did, you know, and way quicker, like you've been doing this is like, you know, yeah, it's, and like I said, there's a lot of great resources out there that you can just read online. You know, the online casting is a thing, definitely, if you want to audition a ton, it's one way to do it, but I'm too fragile.
Can I get your little boy? What's the famous boy voice? Who is he?
This guy? Oh, like he books tons of work. Like for, actually I'm on a new show right now called Body Mama. This guy named Curly, and he sounds like this, and he's so fun. And it's totally different. And I do a ton of promos and Playboys. Like he's my biggest booker. I feel very discriminated against.
When I first met Lisa,
my boy over my girl.
when I first met Lisa, we talked on the phone, and I invited her to come down here. I never talked to her before. When you get to a question, good questions, raise your hand when you get to
Otherwise
your
we'll
turn.
talk about whatever.
But she was so willing to come down here. You inspire me sitting here listening to you. Thanks for playing that voice. Have you ever tried to do an adult?
Oh yeah, like I'm on a show right now and I play a mother. I play Lola Bunny in Breakfast Lunch. Welcome to my grocery store. And that's actually the voice I use for radio imaging. And somehow it's worked its way now into animation. And yeah. But I mean, you have to have a lot of versatility if you want to do voiceover.
Question in the back of the room.
Hi. Yeah, so you said you began at 18.
Yeah.
So I haven't actually heard up until now, maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention, but did you always know that you wanted to get into voiceover? And what was the first gig that you booked and how?
I always knew that my voice was weird. And, you know, if I didn't want to spend the rest of my life being made, I mean, I still get picked on, but now, like, I have great comebacks. That my first job was a concert promo for Britney Spears. I just walked into a radio station and was like, hi, I do voiceover, and I had a demo cut for I went to a studio in my town and had them cut a voiceover demo for me. You know, I studied acting, which is super important, acting, improv. You know, whether you do commercial or animation, like acting is a huge component. That's why it's called voice acting, or voice talking. And shopped my demo around and got an agent. That's a lot harder now. But I would start where you're at, like where do you live, you know? And there's ad agencies and there's production studios, and then once you've gotten acquainted with everyone in your town, then go regional, then go statewide, and then just one by one, it's a process. But once you have a good demo in a space in your house that sounds good enough to where you can record and you don't have to spend gobs and gobs of money on the studio, you have a good demo that someone produced for you, then you need to start approaching people as a business-to-business model. I'm a business, they're a business. And
Another question?
Yeah.
Sorry. A question very back.
Hi, I just wanted to follow on to that. That was my big question today is, I'm about 2 years into the career, it's going well, the work is starting to come in, but I want to start looking at local markets.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions for how to network with local companies, how to approach them?
Yeah, be a part of your ad community. You know, go to the Addy Awards, meet all of the ad agencies, all the production houses. There's probably, like, I know in Charlotte we have this thing called Creative Mornings, where all the creative people get together, and it's not always producers, sometimes it's company owners and studio folk. I mean, just go where those people are networking, but definitely being a part of your, you know, the American Advertising Federation has getting involved and you know, volunteering at their next mixer or, you
So
know.
they'll have like local events you can do face-to-face, that kind of
Oh,
thing?
yeah. Oh, face-to-face works great, you know, unless you're like weird.
It doesn't work.
Weird. But like, you know, you show up and just kind of read the vibe of the room and, you know, you've got your business cards and, you know, there's also other networking opportunities on a national scale for different genres of voiceover. Like the Kids Green Awards are in Miami every year. Every content creator for animation, for children's entertainment across the freaking globe is there. And they're in Miami. Promax for TV promos. They have events in New York and LA. Sometimes you have to travel a little bit, but make it a weekend thing, you know, and go somewhere and spend time, you know, getting to know the people that are making the content.
Let me ask this gentleman a question. How did you start? Did you join a Voice123 or Voices.com or any kind of online casting service?
I was a little skeptical, so at first I felt I needed training, and I went to VO2GoGo, and I also did the ACX Masterclass to learn audiobooks because that was a similar kind of project to take on.
Yeah.
But then after completing the VO2GoGo curriculum, I saw this needed to be a business, and I just set out a series of reasonable goals over time.
Right.
And that's when I did just this year. I did the Voices.com and Voices123
Okay.
sign up, and that's where I'm starting to get started.
You really set yourself on a very intelligent course because you started by developing your skill, getting your studio together, learning about the business, then you invested in the online service. So, and I got a question here and here coming up. I really endorse that because instantly, the minute you plunk down your $3.95, you get auditions to incredible, legitimate, big companies every day, all day long. You can't do that in any other business. What if you want to go into home water purification business and you're knocking door to door and you have to convince somebody they need cleaner water? No, don't worry about all that stuff. The work comes to you. It comes right to your cell phone every day. I got a question here, then here next, and there next.
Me?
Yes.
I want to ask all of you.
Can you speak real loud?
Are you part of any organization? I mean, is there a union or any other organization that you're part of?
Good question.
Is it, I'm just,
Elvis Alt, are you in the union?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a member of the union since I started, because I had to, because I live in California. They kind of, they don't keep super close tabs on voiceover, so like, so much work is non-union now. But we do have a union, SAG-AFTRA, the same union for on-camera actors.
Or do you live in Florida?
yeah.
So if you're in Florida, you can audition for a union
Yeah.
job because we're a right-to-work state.
Yes.
Don, are you in the
Yes.
union?
No, I'm in no union.
I'm not union. I was, and I resigned the union because I don't want to move to California or New York where you do need to be in the union. Say, no, you don't need to be in the union, and non-union work often pays more than union, but if you get a union gig, you get what's called residuals, which means you get paid over and over and over.
You get
That's a
like
whole-
20 cents every 6 months.
Seriously, I did a TV show on what network? Stars, and I was on there for like, you know, a minute, half a minute, and I still get residual checks. My last check was like 37 cents. It's not a lot of money, you know, I can't do anything with it. Gentlemen, right here.
You had mentioned a website that had the 12-step process.
Oh yeah,
Say what it was.
I keep looking at Shelly because she's my friend. She rode down here with me from Charlotte. We have a friend, Gabby Mystico. Gabrielle Mystico. And she's got like, I mean, obviously she teaches voiceover, so she's
How do you
like
spell that? Let's get
GABRIELLE. And it's a great resource she put together. It's like a 12-step program to getting into voiceover. And she's lovely and smart and has great insight.
She has a really good, cool YouTube channel.
She has a really cool YouTube channel, The Gift of Gab. And got some fun content on there.
Here, then here.
Yeah, so you talked a lot about the do's and what to do and the right way to do things. What are some of the do nots, some of the pitfalls that people tend to fall into?
Do
when
not.
I got a huge one.
Do not quit your day job.
Damn good advice, because truthfully, you don't have to look at this as a full-time job. I started as a part-time job. It's still a part-time job. I had one day last week where I had to do 3 gigs. Hey, look, I retired when I was 53. I'm 71. I'm older than you.
71 and 3/4?
You know, I'm good with doing a half a day's work. It's what I want. And when you're in voiceover today, working out of your home studio, you can work as much or as little as you like. You can set your own hours. So it's just depends on you. That answer your question? The pitfall is doing things out of order. And that is spending money on expensive equipment before you learn how to use your voice. Like Don said, read, audition.
Remember one thing, always emulate success. So, say you're driving in the car and a radio commercial comes on or a TV commercial comes on.
You're Lisa.
That guy or woman got the gig. So, emulate it. Just start talking out loud. You know, spitting back the same commercials with their, in your voice, with their inflection, their tone. Always be practicing. If you're on the toilet, bring a thing in there and start reading out loud.
He always reads to me.
Wherever you are, try, just keep reading. Emulate success. And the more you do that, the more all of a sudden you're going to be more relaxed in front of the microphone. A lot of people tend to tense up. Oh, what's going on here, No, this way you just keep reading. Anything you can get your hands on, read out loud.
I got one more for this guy here.
Yeah.
Huge pitfall is trying to sound like something. The sponsors, the clients today do not want you to sound, for the most part, like an announcer.
Yeah,
And when people start in this business, they read a piece of copy. You should go to, you want to sound natural and develop a conversational style.
Well, yes and
That's
no. But sometimes they do want you to sound
sometimes
like,
they do.
it's your, big, and that's, crazy. But if that's what they tell you to do, you do it. It'll be in the instructions on the audition that you give. But like Dan said, they want more of a natural, guy next door kind of delivery. Hey,
Or a Dipper Pies kind of delivery. I dig your outfits. Love that.
So wait, this gentleman's been waiting.
What if you're the creator of the content and you're trying to hire a voice actor? How do you find voice actors?
You call me, and Sarah, and then Don, and Lisa.
Or you would go on, the creators of content, like I said, go on Voice 1, 2, 3 and sign up as a creator of the content. And it doesn't cost you guys anything or anything like that, and then they would post the project. So if you're looking for voices, you would go to Voice 1, 2, 3, sign up as a creator, post the script, and then a bunch of people, I'm looking for 40 voices, I'm going to audition them, then you decide, hey, you put your budget in there, boom, and that's that. The nice thing about Voice 1, 2, 3 is when you're in there, you pay your $400 for the whole year, you're in business, and you get to talk to the clients directly. You can communicate with the clients as opposed to voices.com. They want $400 for the year, then they want a percentage of the gig, 15% or whatever that is. Then you're not allowed to talk to the client. It has to go through them. They don't want you talking to the client. So to me, that's just a waste. Because I have so much recurring people coming back because I made relationships from, voice. I have an agent too and all that stuff, but I can talk and communicate freely. That's why if you do go to any of them, go to 1, 2, 3.
And don't worry about getting an agent if you're just starting.
No, you don't
want to worry
that'll
about
come
that.
later.
Not yet. 2 years later. Star Wars is next. Sorry, Ted.
How dare you?
This girl is really upset at me. Look at her.
That is not okay. That's not good, Dan.
I saw the original Star Wars. You guys weren't born yet.
Go ahead.
Question about demos. I know that it's a good idea to have a few different demos. How specific should they be? Should you just have like audiobook, documentary, animation, or should your animation be something like, Saturday Morning Boys animation,
Sarah will
time
take this one for you.
animation?
For demo, I do mostly commercials like car dealership and restaurant and furniture, so my demo is going to consist of things like that. And I think if I would have a completely separate demo for radio imaging or for narration, like audio and things like that. So I would keep them separate, and I would keep your demo short. No one's going to listen to a minute 30, demo, so keep all of the snippets that you have in your demo pretty quick. And you can find, if you're building one, you can find scripts online. I know Voices 123 has a script bank. I think they still do have a script bank where you can find example scripts when you are putting together your demo. So I don't know if that completely answers your question or not. But yeah, so I would keep them separate.
Commercial demo is the #1 demo people are looking for.
Yes.
But the #1 category is actually corporate narration.
Yeah.
But you get, like Lisa has a huge amount of different demos, animation demos, video game demos, things like that. I just noticed there are people all the way over here. Hi. Feels good on my neck too. Thanks for coming. Wow. There's another Captain Kirk, maybe.
There's a question way back here.
Yeah, aside from auditioning, what do you suggest as far as marketing yourself?
Lisa, you want to take a shot at that because you do a lot of marketing work.
I mean, LinkedIn is great. Like, I love working LinkedIn. Reaching out to, it's pretty easy to query who you're looking for. Like, if you're looking for, Fisher Price audio engineers or producers or whatever, oh gosh, he's being so quiet, so good, now he's speaking out. I use LinkedIn a ton. I also just Google. You can do Boolean searches on Google and LinkedIn to really narrow down who you want to connect with. Studios, there's a whole great website similar to Production Hub. It's called Digifon. It's a Digifon digital dial-up list, DIGIFON. And those were traditionally ISDN studios, and now they all have alternative technology to connect studio to studio. And there are, there's great studios right around here. There's Sunspots in Orlando. There's Studio Z, which is also in Orlando. Mach 1 Studios here in Tampa doesn't do a ton of casting, but Dan is great and would definitely be a resource for a demo. There are, just look at the ad agencies. Look at ad agencies, look at production studios, specifically ones that have voiceover talent rosters, and just reach out to them directly with a really short, sweet, hi, what's your name?
Doug.
What did you say?
Doug.
Doug. Hey, my name is Doug. You live here in Tampa? Cool. I'm based in the Tampa area. Recently, don't ever say I'm new to voiceover because they're gonna go, oh, all right.
Just lie. Tell them you've been doing it for 20 years.
Voice actor. I see the work on your website. You guys obviously do some cool things. Attach my demo if you want to take a listen, or here's a link to my demo because some people don't like attachments. Here's a link to my demo if you want to take a listen. And you always, it's kind of like, okay, so social media. If you want someone to like your post on Facebook, you say, hey, like this post if you like what it is. When you're reaching out to someone, ask for what you want. Hey, I would love for you to take a listen to my demo. I look forward to the possibility of working with you in the future. Don't hint around. Just be really direct. And I only know that because for the longest time I was like, oh, if you maybe wanted this, cool. If you don't, because I was, no one likes to. We're artists. If there's a certain level of vulnerability that comes with putting your voice, your freaking voice. It's the thing that people hear when you open your mouth to ask for anything. And it feels very personal in terms of a business, in terms of artistic expression. Voiceover feels very personal when people don't want to use your voice because you're like, what's wrong with it? So you just have to kind of get over that and just kind of be in that vulnerable space, but also just be really bold and get in, get out, brief. When you're approaching people, if you're approaching people about, you've got your demo now, right? Yeah. So you're just what's your name?
My name's Trenton Bennett.
Trenton. Hi, I'm Trenton. I love the work that you do. And look on their website. Do you recognize other talent that oh, I see you work with Dan Gunter. He's so great. Don't lie. But if you don't have a common thread, then don't make up one. And normally what I'll do is I'll hit people up directly via email. Then I'll head right over to LinkedIn and connect with them on LinkedIn. You don't need to space out stuff like that because the more people see your name, your brand, the more likely they are to engage with you as a potential partner in business or as a potential talent. I mean, what do they say? 7 times people have to encounter a brand or a product before they're like, you know what, okay. So, and I would just be bold, send it, put it out there into the universe, and like we were saying earlier, then let it go. You know, it's all good. There are bajillions of people, maybe not literally bajillions, but I mean, there are, like I said, if someone like me can work every single freaking day, there must be a whole crap ton of work out there. So like, move on, you know, set some kind of reminder for yourself to follow up, but do it in a respectful, you know, time frame, and then just keep going. I mean, if you make it a point to reach out and initiate conversations with potential clients or potential studios, potential animation folks, like 20 to 30 a day, shouldn't take you but maybe 2 hours.
Specifically production houses?
Yeah.
Because that agency will hire a production house to do the spot and build a website. Build a website, you can build it cheap and easy, that's your calling card. We have 5 more minutes, we're going to jam in with questions. Right over here. Yes, you.
Hi. How do you maintain the health of your voice, and what do you do to warm up?
Who is it?
You.
Well, I'm the worst person to ask, because my voice goes away every day at 1 o'clock. So, because of that, I like to do my recordings no later than 9:30, but you know, I work out of a home studio, so on Thursday morning, my damn neighbor across the street has the lawnmowers, and the blowers are really bad, and the propeller planes coming into the Sanford Executive, whatever it is, airport, are murdered. So you have to learn how to work around that stuff. But lots of salt. Go ahead.
But basically, you know, you prepare by relaxing your voice before you go into a session. Taking a nap or whatever before, it, for me, works, you know. But when you first wake up in the morning, everybody's got that deep, nice, rich voice. That's because when you sleep, your voice cord relaxes and stretches. And during the day, the more you use it, it starts tightening up and you get higher pitched like this. As opposed to deep.
Sound like Lisa.
As opposed to deep, hers don't stretch. They're just totally, they're short. So, but.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So basically, you don't want to drink and smoke and all that bad stuff. But then sometimes that bad stuff adds character to your voice. True. So, but you just got to take care of your voice. No yelling and screaming, and even whispering is actually worse than yelling. And hydrate your voice.
Drink a lot of water.
Yeah, warm. You want to get your vocal cords nice and long so they have nice, well, for a guy. You know,
and if you're tight,
rich texture. Yeah. And I'm going to be honest, my voice, I'm only good for a couple hours, and it just goes. My voice is, yeah. So, you know, as soon as I get up, I start doing the auditions or whatever, and if I've got to schedule stuff, I schedule it right when I'm getting up. You know, so
what time do you get up, Don?
About 1:30, 2 o'clock.
Oh, yeah. 4 o'clock.
When the sun is warm, because, and I do, I get up about 1:30, 2 o'clock because I got a lot of clients on the other coast. Oh, you know, who's kidding who? People in California, they're not doing business until after lunch. And it's 3 hours already behind, so I get up around 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the afternoon when the sun is warm. But I go to bed late, though. I'm up till 4 or 5 in the morning because I'm a nut.
He keeps me up on Skype, and he won't let me go.
But anyway, but the point being is relax your voice before you go in. Drink some nice warm water, tea, whatever, lemon, and you're good.
Don't drink all the
Gentlemen,
it's delicious and it soothes your throat. Also, like keep your germs. You know, it's hard not to sometimes. Some seasons we get sick. You know, protect yourself if there are snotty kids running around. Take care of your body, eat healthy, exercise.
Right, you get sick, you're out of work, right?
Yeah.
Perfect, yeah. I know that too, because I just had my first child when I was 55. I got a 3-year-old. Damn. Oh. Kicking my ass.
What's he say all day?
Kicking my daddy. Yeah, kicking my ass. But yeah, definitely, you got to stay healthy. I've already got sick more than I've ever been sick my whole life. But I love it. But it's all good. But go ahead, Dan.
Time for a couple more. There's a gentleman in the baseball cap.
Yes.
So the other gentleman.
What would you recommend for like training? I know you mentioned your friend Gabby. Any websites or any videos or any more?
we all offer, well, Dan offers classes. I do training with people one-on-one through Skype. Dan does it too, and you guys do that too?
I do more like character-centric, so if you like animation, I'm down with that, but I couldn't tell you how to read a piece of ESPN copy. I mean, I do a lot of commercials, but all my stuff is as a kid, so I couldn't really help you there. But animation, yes, and business. I love this business.
But just be cautious, because there are people that will sell you $3,000 worth of stuff, and it's not necessarily right. Pick up a business card, I can talk to you about it, you can call me anytime.
Yes, and I will happily funnel Dan who to tell you not to it. I think that's very important.
What was the name of that Miami event you said?
Oh, it's Kids Green. Kids Green in Miami is kind of like MIPCOM Junior, which goes on overseas, and all of the content creators are there. Everybody there.
You know
and
what?
There's not a lot of voice actors there.
Guys, I'm sorry to tell you, because we can go on and on, but it just hit 4, and we're told that we have to wrap it by 4, but I just want to take a moment to thank you guys. You guys are awesome. You did a great job. Nice to meet you. So we'll just say goodbye one by one. Dan Walks, voiceoversbydan.com. Sarah?
Sarah Marins, sarahmarins.com.
I'm at doncapone.com, DONCAPONE.com.
And Lisa Biggs, 2 G's like Snoop Dogg. So, and there's just lisabiggs.com, DIGGS, LASA. Did you spell Lisa? Lisa Biggs.
Thank you, group. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Gary.